Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Get Reelisms Podcast. Disclaimer for episode 119. All right, I messed up on the recording on my OBS when I was first recording this episode, and it is not the best quality. It is doubled audio, so you've been forewarned. I did my best to balance the audio out. It's still, it's still wonky as heck. So I do apologize for that. It won't happen again since I checked every single episode after that since. And hopefully that problem will never happen again. So again, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope you enjoy the episode. Get into it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Get Reelisms Podcast. Episode 119. I am Adam Chase Rani.
And I am Christine Chen.
Welcome, one and all. Thank the filmmaking gods. We are here. And we are ready to rock and roll. Christine, what's happening in your neck of the woods?
I've just been in post. That's what I've been doing. So I've been able to do post anywhere. And I choose to do posts in Austin, Texas with my friends. So I'm post up at my friend Darren and Christine's, where if people are interested, trivia-wise, they have a pool. That's where we shot the pool scenes for Ursula. So I'm here. There, it's kids and pool and dogs and fun time. Summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice. I like editing in active environments because it makes me feel like I'm being fun as well.
Yeah. Why? You're not fun otherwise? Which is not true. You are fun.
Yes. However, I like to be in my editing hole and be antisocial. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel you get more done when you're just antisocial, and that you just kind of like get yourself in like a cave, just get yourself in there and just stay there and just minimal contact with friends and family as much as possible?
No, like I tend to be it because I'm still very much extrovert. So the way I've dealt with being an extrovert is, like I said, being around activity and in the vicinity of it, and like I'll be working and I'm very much plugged in and to myself, but I'm around activity that's happening. That's why I love coffee shops so much. And I used to work at bars too. Like I would post up and talk to no one really, but I would just be at a bar editing or I don't know, writing a script or something like that. That's so the definition of being in a hole is quite different. Like when I think of maybe how introverts or most people do it, they'll just go in a literal room and just do not. I actually don't focus as well that way. I like to be around stuff.
I have all the focus when I'm that way. I'm the opposite for somehow. I don't know why. Yeah.
I just feel sad.
I mean, I don't think I'm sad when I do that, but I mean, sure. Yeah.
Well, because would you say you're actually an introvert?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm not. I'm an extrovert.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so being around things makes me happy. When I'm not, I guess I fixate on, I'm so boring, that I don't really focus on the work itself. But then when I'm around people, I'm like, I'm being fun, and then but I'm actually working.
Yeah. It's your only way to work is to be with a bunch of people in order to get your shit done. Okay.
Yes, pretty much.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So that's why. Yeah.
I think introverts get a bad rap, though. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to like they think that like, oh, they're just antisocial, or like, you know, they just don't want to. It's not the fact that like I don't want to be around people. I definitely do. It's just, you know, there's just those certain times where I need to like every day I need like some set of time to just be by myself. Just be alone.
Fair.
You know, it's like how I only get my energy is just by being alone. But I do enjoy being with other people. But when I was younger, I had a lot more anxiety, and I felt like I had to participate all the time and make everybody laugh, make everybody happy. You know, it's just it was that added pressure for some reason that wasn't there, but for some reason, I guess trauma, I don't know, that got me there. But I got over that a little bit. But you know, every so often, it's just for myself. I need to liven up the place because
absolutely nothing wrong with that.
There's some motherfuckers that are depressing.
Yeah. No,
so to lively it up is it goes a long way. What is your microphone is shooting into your face?
I have the stand thing that I'm working at, but it's not like at a good spot that it's also working for Instagram. It's like covering my face, so I'm like trying to make it at a good spot. But then when I tilt it to get it closer to my mouth, and the microphone's
the closer the better. Like that's why I have my microphone literally to my mouth.
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
fine. What's new? How's writing? Which draft are you on now?
I'm not. I'm done. I'm just doing storyboards now. You know. I'm just.
But like when we say we're done.
No. I'm not done. But like, you know, I've sent it to some people who are also writers, and I've gotten a couple of notes from. I got some notes, and it was awesome. It's literally what I needed. And I didn't quite realize that, like, you know, sometimes if you find the right people, they'll give you the right notes. Correct. which is interesting.
That's always how it is. It's always about good notes. So finding the people that you can trust to provide you constructive feedback. That's not just this is great.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like I sent it to a couple of my family members too, and they said that shit too. They were just like, "Oh my god, it's wonderful." It's like, okay, but what did like anything you liked? And it's like, "Oh, it's just good." It's like, well, that doesn't help me at all. I don't know why. I don't know what happened to the mic. I can't hear anything on the mic for some reason. I don't hear any. Now I hear something. Okay, now I hear nothing.
Okay.
Okay, now I hear you. Now
okay. I don't know.
Maybe it's that XLR cable that's probably getting faulty. If it's not plugged in all the way,
it's
and like
plugged
tight.
in all the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes if it's like loose, it will just fuck up the audio. It'll just like cut out.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, it's fine. You're good. You're good now. It's all we're all groovy in the hoovy.
I see Anthony on IG. I wanted to say hi to him because there's a funny story of the day at the pool on the day we were off between the 2 weeks, and Anthony had introduced everybody to shroom tea, and I pretended I drank it, and I didn't feel anything. But then when I finally did do shrooms for the first time I went camping, I looked back at that time and Anthony tried to get me to do shrooms. And I'm like, damn, why didn't I do it then? There was nothing to be afraid of. It was wonderful. So yes, I like to bring that up because it was a good memory back then.
Would you do it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would totally do it again. It's just the amount that I did, which I think was like a full bar or whatever, was perfect. Yeah. It was a nice, like, oh, things are colorful and pulsating and stuff. I don't know what I would do if things were like, if I was hallucinating or something. I don't think I would like that.
I mean, it's, I don't think like you hallucinate in the way that you think you hallucinate when you're on shrooms. That's like the hallucinating shit. That's like, you know, MDMA, that's like ecstasy, that's like the stuff that's like, you know, not organic and from the ground, it's the synthetic stuff, you know.
Yeah. But no, just been
shrooms is kind of like weed but more elevated, you know. It's just like you got like a heightened sense of awareness.
I don't know.
You feel good sometimes. You know
me and weed have not had great experiences.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another, you would appreciate this.
Sure.
2 days ago here at the Herman place, it was nighttime, probably like 10 p.m. And I was drinking what I thought was bubbling water, and it was, except it had caffeine in it. And Christine was like, "Hey, that stuff has caffeine in it." I'm like, "Oh shit!" And she goes, "Quick, take a gummy," because I'm very sensitive to caffeine, and I would not be able to sleep at that time. And so I take a whole gummy.
That's a really bad mistake.
It was a bad mistake.
It was a very bad mistake.
I didn't think it was that much. I didn't know.
No, you like that's so.
I threw up.
Can we just have some little bit of weed etiquette, please, for the people? Can just 1 minute, Christine, please, for Christ's sakes.
Yes.
Can we? Okay.
Yes.
Guys.
What's weed etiquette? Okay.
Just when you take edibles, get educated. That's it. Get educated. Read the label. Ask questions.
Read the label.
No, you didn't, because you wouldn't have taken it if you did.
Well, I've eaten a whole one before and been fine.
What do you mean a whole one? What does that mean?
You know the stuff that's at nighttime that you can eat, and it's like in these little.
No.
I guess they're all different. So.
They're all different. I don't even know what you're talking about. At nighttime?
Yeah, this is for the sleeping.
Okay. Well, I mean, okay, so like in a typical like weed chocolate, it's like anywhere between like 10 to 15 milligrams, depending on the chocolate. I know there's some that are 5 before everybody freaks 15. Out. This was fit. Yeah, see, that's insane. That's like smoking a joint and a half, Christine.
Oh yeah. Well,
so,
I learned very hard.
Yeah. If you do more like if I do more than like 20, I'm on Mars, Christine. I am out of, and you know me being the head of pot that I am. Yeah. I need to watch that shit all the fucking time. But I am just over the fucking moon when edibles hit. That's why like it's always like you got to know what the milligram count is, or you're just gonna have a bad time. So of course, like
I had a bad time.
Drinking caffeine and then counteract it with like the dankest of the dank. You got yourself tooted and zooted.
It felt like I was on a boat and I was like motion sick.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I totally like just went and threw up.
I thought you were gonna say like I felt like I was in the middle of the ocean and I was in this crazy odyssey.
I wanted to throw up and I did, and then I was just like, you know what? I just need to lay down. And I was like, I'm laying down, and that was it. And I woke up the next day. Yeah.
I do think though that weed is just not for you. No. I mean, nothing against it, but yeah, there's just some people who can and can't hang, and it's okay. Like I can't hang with alcohol. Mm-hmm. I cannot hang with alcohol. After 2 drinks, I'm going to bed. I'm gonna have a box of Cheez-Its and go to bed. That's the funny thing. I get more munchies there than weed.
Yeah.
With
weed
alcohol.
And I don't go together at all. Now shrooms were good, but not weed. Definitely not.
So, wait, I meant to ask you, what are you in post-production for in Austin? Just for the listeners
my second short.
Who don't know.
So I have 2 shorts. So first one is at a good spot already. I already sent it off to Jeff Reed, who is from Taproot Audio. He usually does the mixing for me. And then I also met up with Nick Longoria, who's the composer who did all the music for Ursley. So they're in other people's hands right now, which is nice. It's at a nice spot for where the cut is. So I would say it's pretty much picture locked. The other one is the one I just started editing, which is the Catan one, Catan-inspired short film.
Yeah.
So I just been starting to edit through that, and it's been fun. It's more difficult because this one has more stylistic choices when it comes to coverage. That's what I was playing with.
Okay.
And so, because I wanted it to feel like an action film, even though it's a board game.
Yeah, I was about to say, for a board game, that's actually impressive. That's
So
crazy
I
you
wanted
take
to
that direction.
Yeah, so I wanted to feel like an action film. So it's constantly moving. And so there's constant, like, different coverage, different close-ups, different, So it's this one would be a lot of cuts. The other one, not so much. It's very much your standard, like, coverage in terms of dialogue, right? This one is, I think, is all about style. So we'll see. It's been cutting, and I already realized I messed up in the first scene, but I was able to save it. But oops, I'm not the best at the 180 rule. I'm just not. And I just now I know, like, okay, I need somebody who's always there keeping track of that, because I definitely botched. Luckily, it was just one particular coverage, so I was able to cheat it, and hopefully nobody notices. But yeah.
Right.
You don't notice until you're cutting it sometimes, and you're like, well, shit.
Yeah, it's already too late,
Too late, yeah.
Because you don't know if you're, like, really understanding the 180 rule on set until after the fact. It feels like. Because
Pretty much.
Usually might be the last thing you think about. You know, when it comes to coverage, you just want to get it in and get it out. Yeah.
So that's what I've been editing. I like to set goals. So Darren and Christine were like, so we get to see something before you leave. And so I think the next few days, that's what I'm going to be focused on, is like get something for them to watch before I leave. So because July 4th isn't like, I'm staying because I'm going to celebrate July 4th with them, and then afterwards I'll leave. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So that's 2 days. That's pretty decent. I'm on scene 3 right now, but it's getting more and more complicated. So because of how much coverage I have, in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, you're no stranger to complicated scenes.
Yeah. So that's what I've been working on, is that, and then
that's great.
Here and there, still thinking of the doc. We're not shooting for a bit, so just that, and interviews for something. We'll see if I get it or not. If I do, I may be in Texas at the end of the month. Well, I don't know, who knows. But until then, it's just been slow as F. So
yeah,
but it's a good time to work on your own stuff.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Yeah, it's happening here in Austin too. It's just been it's been definitely super slow, for sure. Yeah, everyone is feeling the dry pains,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's interesting because I don't really go into much details about my work when it comes to my parents, because it's hard for anybody to understand when they're not in the industry, because we sound like crazy people when we talk about the day-to-day things that we deal with. But they were very much like, well, you can't just like party all day at home with your friends. You should make something happen. And I don't know. They just don't understand like all the other stuff that's happening behind the scenes while in between jobs. Just think I like am a bum all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, dude, like there's nothing I can control. The strike is happening. Things are slow. This is a slow time, and I'm making my own stuff. You don't care if I'm doing any of that because it doesn't bring any sort of economic, tangible evidence. And so to you, whether I'm editing or not editing, and you will always think that I'm just fucking around.
schlepping off. Yeah, just not doing anything. Yeah. I mean, my family thinks the same way too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a matter of like, I don't know, like they're just, because here's the thing. Any industry you work in, and I mean this, ladies and gentlemen, any industry you are working in is volatile. It is not consistent and will never be consistent. I promise you, it won't. I worked in retail for 10 years. That shit is up and down. And don't get me wrong, like there's been worse years for sure, like 2008, but you guys don't understand, like, that shit, the job market goes up and down all the fucking time. Despite the fact that it's like, oh, well, unemployment's down. It's like, well, yeah, but you're not getting it. They're hiring within. They're not hiring from the outside. They're not really relying on independent contractors unless they know that independent contractor. It's people get priorities over network all the time, over connections all the time. So there's nothing more to say other than that. So yeah, and it sucks too because we're for the writer strike. You know what I mean? Yes. Like we need the writer strike to happen in order to get more amazing content that we love. Correct. From all of our streamers. Just we want them to be paid fairly. That's it. End of story. Done deal.
Yeah, but no, it's just interesting. You point out a fact is that the work environment is always volatile, but for some reason, sure, the film industry is even more just because it's gig by gig basis. However, people love jumping on gigsters.
Yeah. Well, because you gotta make that dollar somehow. You gotta make it work, and people need this industry in order to survive. There are people with families who depend on these jobs. And it's just how do you combat that? I mean, this is not like I want to say it's not an unprecedented thing with the writer's strike and how, jobs usually dry up, but it's not like we've gone through this every year, so it's just kind of like once in those blue moons since I guess like the beginning of COVID that is like been this like really dry, Yeah. And I feel way more confident now than I did back in COVID.
Same. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, I'm not really, sometimes I'll think about it and worry about it, but I've learned so much from being in this industry for so long that there really isn't anything you can do by worrying. Like worrying doesn't really solve much of anything.
No.
You can, I mean, sure, maybe you submit a few more, mention it to more people that you're looking, or, you go and look for stuff and submit to it. But other than that, I don't see why working your own. I think the key is to reframe how you see this downtime, right? And I choose to see it as, oh, this is a great time for me to work on my own work.
Yeah.
Right? I'll work on my own stories and stuff like that. It's hard to justify that. You don't have to, but it's your parents, right? Or people you care about. And so, yes, you don't need to justify to them what you are doing, and they may never understand or care to understand, but the feeling still is the same. Sometimes it's very frustrating, especially when you're doing good work. And it's not translating into a paycheck yet, but you have to do it to continue to be better at what your skill set is. This is honestly, I find that the stuff that's these in between moments is actually where you grow the most as an artist.
Totally.
Yeah. Right. It's not when, and so many, this is music mentions this all the time. When they're on tour, which is when they actually do make money, that's not when they have their most there's no way of being creative when you're working to that extent. That's like me being on set. When I'm on set, I am so mentally drained. There is not any space for me to be creative. And so, sure, these in-between moments, slow moments as they are, look like, oh, you're just putzing around and working on scripts or editing or something that looks like, oh, you're not generating any income, yada, yada. But like, I think it's these moments in between that grow you as a creator than any other moment. And so that's how I choose to think about it. And I really believe in that. And anybody who thinks else otherwise can go F themselves.
Yeah, no, totally. Because that's just how it is. Like, that's the way of life. What are you going to do? Like it works in any other industry. Again, going back to my point, it's just like,
it does.
But there's certain industries like, I don't know, like, well, whatever industry that is not necessarily creative, but it's a necessity for you to like have because you need it in order to survive. Like you need it to live. And there's some people who are losing those fucking privileges and those jobs.
Yeah. And to kind of add to, there are companies, startups, creatives that in order to increase innovation in their business or industry, they build in time for their creators to putz around, downtime.
Right.
Like they literally, I've read about this. There's many different innovative companies that find that doing that allows people to be able to have creative solutions to problems. If they say build 1 hour, or I can't remember which company. Several companies do this, like Amazon and because I learned this in business school, that was a huge thing that they implemented was downtime, because you need this time of not going 24/7, that you have space to reflect and think, and this is the time when creativity actually happens. So
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. So
because you got a clear conscience and stuff. Yeah, it's not about work.
So I've been probably on this like creative streak because of it. Like I said, I've written so many things. I've clearly have made some other shorts and whatnot, but I think there's a pressure by external society that are non-creatives that make creatives feel like their value is only from what they produce. And is exactly because of people who are like, oh, you're not on set, you're not working and everything, so you're really a bum. And I think that's just an incorrect misconception and highly frustrating. And I think as creatives, you just have to stay true. And I'm telling you that it is these in-between times when we aren't busting our asses on set, that's when the magic does happen. So all you guys out there who are waiting on the next gig and taking the time off, there's nothing you can do. This is a cycle, and you use this time to, I don't know, brush up on your resume, to edit your reel, to doing things that will maintain your employability status or whatever. And when the time comes, there will be jobs. But until then, fixating on them or feeling bad because other people are making you feel that way is not going to help at all. So I just have to remind myself, because it's hard when you're in the moment listening to your parents lecture you about how much of a bum you are. I'm like, dude, you don't even know half the crap I do.
No. Yeah. And it's disingenuous, right? You know what I mean? Like you're not giving a fair shake on the industry that you are working on and the work that you provide. And if I say this all the time, if my family knew like just 50% of what I was actually going through, like on set,
Right.
they'll be like,
Yep.
dog, wait, what? You're getting paid how much to do this? You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like, they get it, but then once it's going to be the downtime like this, they're just like, why are you bummed? It's like, you ass.
You can't make
Fuck you.
anybody happy. Exactly. When I'm like busting my ass and don't have time to like call my parents, they freak out at me because they're like, oh, you don't care about us and all that stuff. And I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do that will make you, there's something you're always going to be annoyed about. It's either I don't have enough time because I am on set, or I have too much time and I'm not on set. Like, what the fuck do you want? You know, so in the end, that's why you just have to do what you feel is the best for you, and remember that. Yeah.
So I didn't know this, but apparently on the free version of Zoom, there's a fucking timer.
Yes, 30 minutes.
What?
Correct.
Since when?
It's a 30-minute limit. Since forever. That's the biggest thing is that. Yeah.
I guess I've been a sucker and paying it for so long.
It's okay. You should.
Can we start another meeting and then like, unless you rather end it?
We can. It's up to you.
No, it's not up to me. I'm good for another 30.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
We'll just start another meeting.
Okay. That sounds good.
It just be by the link. By
Yeah. They were upset because I said I would be staying here with my friends until past July 4th because July 4th people are celebrating. I'd rather celebrate it here in Austin because I have lots of close friends here and I miss them. And my dad was like, how are you talking about partying when you're not even working or have a job right now? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, it's just as brainless as starting another podcast when you're not currently like employed right now, which is exactly what I'm doing. Shout out to another podcast that I will be starting pretty soon.
Yay.
So,
which one is this one?
It's nothing in particular. It's just me. I remember, I don't know if I talked about it last week, but I wanted to do a podcast where we kind of like, because I've always wanted to start a podcast. I've been a huge fan of Mark Maron and Bill Burr podcast since I was like in high school. And I've always wanted to do a podcast, but of course I'm not like comedians, right? So I've always wanted to do something that was like interesting in the realm of film. And doing the Get Reelisms podcast has been a dream come true of mine because it's like I'm doing a quasi like, educational hang with the mentor, like, kind of like chill sesh, and then we take little bits to actually educate ourselves and whatnot.
Yes.
This one is just going to be like just way more of that. It's just way more relaxed content and it just be like new stuff for sure, but like it'll be more particular, like a documentary kind of like commentary stuff on everything I'm going through in terms of writing and like making this first script and how I got here in the first place and how the script technically took me 10 years to make.
That's nuts, yeah.
And again, it's a dream come true of mine. I definitely wanted to do it, and I've always thought about doing it, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't know if I can do it. And then I realized I'm like, well, doing this podcast has given me a lot more confidence in terms of you'll
be fine. Yeah, it'll be
being
great.
on mic. So I think this will be fun. I think it'll be great. We're still doing the Get Reelisms podcast. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
And also, I want Christine to be a guest on my podcast. So it'll be like a double Get Reelisms podcast so I can suck even more content out of Christine. Yeah, so I'm excited. Look out for that real soon. No, but I wanted to because there's never going to be like a time where like the future is ever going to be like super clear. You know what I mean? Like you're never going to have any industry where you're going to understand that like, oh dude, my future, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I got savings, I got this, I got that. Those happen for people who are like in the richest of the 1%, you know what I mean? That like don't really have to worry about like any economic, struggle, like we have to worry about, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because sometimes, like I think the parents have the best interest, but they go about it in such an ass backwards way, thinking that, oh, you're going to be poor tomorrow and you're not going to have any money. And then this whole thing is just not going to work. You know, I know the parents are not saying that, but I definitely feel it with mine. You know what I mean?
They're definitely internally feeling that.
I feel it with my parents 100%. They're just like, well, this isn't consistent and we don't know anything. It's like, yeah, but you just got to trust me. You got to trust me, and you just got to know that, like, I'm putting in the work. I'm putting in the time. Yeah, I'm not making any money drawing fucking pictures for my script. Yeah. I know I'm not. But this is what I want to do. This is what I have to do. It's all the process, baby. And they're like, yeah, but are you making money right now?
Yes, that's where it boils down to. I'm glad you had these experiences as well.
I want to die every time they say it.
Yeah. That this is part of the process. And I can't just be like, oh, because I'm not making money for this particular process, I'm just not going to do it.
Only right now. Just right now. And that's it. You know, I just got to work on it.
Doing this? Yeah, should we be doing this podcast? Yeah.
Shit. And by the way, anybody who wants to sponsor Get Reelisms podcast, hit us up at do we have Get Reelisms at Gmail or something?
Yeah.
Get
Reelisms at Gmail.
Hit us up, companies.
Exactly. So yeah, no, that's the thing is that not everything is you can just measure based off of economics. Most of life can't be that.
You can't anymore. No, yeah. It ain't the 60s anymore. You know, the white picket fence is long gone.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many things that trump money, and when you're producing, when you're making any film, short films or whatever, I often, for newbies, they're always like, how do you get, like, your casting? How do you get stuff or whatever? And I'm like, hey, you just need to think about it from someone else's perspective and figure out what kind of value that you're giving that's not necessarily a monetary benefit. For example, if it's somebody who gave up on their filmmaking dreams but have lots of money, don't you think that they would kill to have that experience and relive something that they once wanted to do? That's something money, can't necessarily buy. In their case, they are, but like you just have to think about stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I think it's just I guess it's just a practical way of seeing life is, you judge all of life's value by how much financial value it gives you. And I think that's just not the realistic way of going about it.
Right. And that's not the reason why we got into the film industry in the first place, exactly. Because we love the thrill of filmmaking, and films in general. And I mean, I'm not speaking for you, but for me, I grew up watching movies as an indoor kid, introvert, callback top of the episode. I definitely have this emotional connection to films that I can't really describe other than that. It's just love. It's just, it's pure love. And has film bit me in the ass? Yes, absolutely. But has it also provided me with incredible networking and connections to people who are A, way more fucking talented than me, and B, actually have conversations with these people who are of the same mindset like me. And, it's just you find your calling, you find the thing that you love doing and you stick with it. But, the financial gain is not really worth anything, but the moments you get is everything. That's it's priceless. Long story short, the moments you get from film, because nothing's more thrilling than calling a martini, nothing's more thrilling than seeing the final product of what you made in frame when picture's up, then it's just like, it's like a breath of fresh air for me, whenever I see my work there in the frame, and it's just like, okay, I did my job.
Yeah.
That's everything. And I don't think people really understand that. So the way that the industry is going right now, it's volatile, but I hate to break it to you guys, America's volatile in the work industry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's kind of the truth.
Just, if everything was judged by how much economic gain we give you, nobody would have kids.
That's a very good point. And I do is there a study? I could have sworn there was like a study somewhere that was just like people of like our generation are just not having kids ever. And it's just like, I mean, yeah, I wonder why. You know what I mean?
It's just like resource and time suck.
Yeah. So. It's literally, you need 50 grand in order to just a year to just raise this child. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's only going to drive you insane most of the time.
That's insane. Yeah. What?
I know. And so, for those who don't understand why we make film, I would like to challenge you to think about, why do you have kids? Because that's how we think.
Shout out to all
film.
the parents out there.
Yeah, all you parents out there. This is why you chose to have kids is why we chose to birth films. These are our kids. Yeah. They don't give you much economic benefit. In fact, most of the time they suck time and money.
It's more of an output situation. Yeah.
Correct. However, it's the moments when you've figured it out, you've come up with a brilliant idea, you've seen that scene that you're editing and it works. It's all these little moments that you are living for and creating for, right? So, same thing. Yeah. I know, but if it's hard for you to understand, because I understand that perspective is difficult when you haven't lived or been in somebody's shoes, but that's the best way we can describe it. It's like, why do you have kids? Well, this is our films, our stories, are our kids. Yeah.
And a little piece of advice to anybody who like has a friend or a loved one or even their little one, going through the same shit we are going through. Be patient with them. You know what I mean? Because you may never know that like the person who you love and care for, who want to look after and like take their best interests to heart, you might be surprised in the future what they might bring out creatively, and right now you might see them at their lowest point. You might see them at, maybe their most economically vulnerable point, like being broke or just not having enough gigs or any of that sort. Right. Just be patient and show support instead of just going straight for the, you should definitely shake things up. You gotta think more money shit. You gotta get another job. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. Just be patient. That's the only thing.
Be supportive. And not just supportive in the way that you feel like you can. It's just, you have to be supportive even when you don't understand what you're supporting.
Yeah, totally.
That's very hard to do.
As long as they're not hurting people, support what they're doing, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gilbert Baker Film Festival said, "We appreciate your film babies. Thank you." Yes, make more film babies. Yes, but if anybody out there was struggling with this, this is a process. These the spaces in between the gigs can be a hard and lonely place to be, because that's the perfect opportunity for everybody else who is unhappy with their own lives or doesn't understand what you're doing, or this is the perfect scapegoat time. This is the perfect time to blame everything, is on these moments of nothingness, I guess. where people were like, well, see, we told you so. You should have gotten a different job, and like, look at you, you're not even making any money and stuff like that. Well, it is during these times when we as creatives can really utilize to create our best work, because creativity comes during periods of nothingness, really. This is the time you think, you have time to think, to reflect, to muse, there's a quote that Taika Waititi says. He said that staring at my computer for 2 hours with nothing on the computer is also writing.
Yeah, it is.
It is. I know. And it can be frustrating for any creative. I mean, when I was writing in Root, there would be days when I went through a process, but the whole process was just eliminating ideas or things that I'd just written. So then what I did end up with was literally a blank page. So I had nothing to show except this was a good exercise. We used cards, and like we would delete cards if they weren't working. So there was a bunch of cards on the ground that show that we went through a process of elimination for different ideas. So I could physically see that I had been doing work.
Right.
So that was that's actually really nice.
Yeah, that's how David Lynch does it.
Yeah. But yeah. So, but to the rest of the world, yeah, sure. You just spent 2 hours with nothing.
You drew pictures. Good for you. It's like, yeah, it's part of the what? Shut up.
It's part of the process. It's part of the process. So,
and that's okay. I mean, there's going to be definitely those people who just, those people who are just not going to get it.
They're not going to get it, and it's okay.
It's fine because, long into the short end is that you're going to prove the work to them and then they will understand.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And all it is just, just noises.
It's noises. Yeah.
It's noises right now, but again, if you really want to be supportive, you just got to be patient about it. But I know that's asking a lot. It's asking a lot, just as much as it's asking a lot for listeners to listen to a free film podcast.
Gilbert Baker Film Festival said, "I'm sure it feels like you're creating in a vacuum. However, there are those of us out here ready and waiting to experience and enjoy your creations."
Thank you so much.
Beautifully said. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It can be lonely for sure when you're creating, because you don't have anybody. A lot of times, a lot of people don't understand. So there's a lot of noise around you that is easy to be distracted with, and you hear like, oh, why should you waste so much time doing this stuff, and you aren't even making any money, and blah blah blah. And once you shift through that, and you put in the time and something comes out of it, yeah, it's nice when we get to share it with people. But during that process of creating, it definitely can be lonely. And that's why having people that you trust that will keep you accountable, who will read your scripts to give you notes, and who will watch your stuff to give you feedback, is so crucial. So crucial to this creative process of staying sane.
Yeah.
So.
Very well said, Christine. I don't know if you remember 2 episodes ago. It's been a minute. We talked about watching independent films and how we need to shout these films out.
Yes. Did you see something?
I saw a lot of films in between those in that time. Okay. And I want to. Did you have anything that you watched that you were maybe if it's even not independent, just something you watched, and it might segue good into any news you want to talk about, or we can just end the episode. Doesn't matter.
Oh, I'm trying to think if I had seen anything recently. When I'm creating, I tend to not watch things unless I'm looking for references for stuff. When I was about to shoot the Catan short, I rewatched Ocean's 11, 12, 13 because that was kind of the style I wanted it to be at.
Okay. Steven Soderbergh kind of wide, big
Soderbergh
shots.
feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I watched a lot of that for inspiration. I recently haven't seen anything else now that I think about it in terms of independent films.
No, but how good are those Ocean 11 films, huh?
So good.
They're super rad.
Yes.
You know that's a remake. The
did
Ocean's,
not know that.
Yeah, had Frank
Really?
Sinatra. It was a film in the 60s, I want to say, and it had Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., and a whole bunch of like other people who are just like super like celebrity like famous. Like not really actors or actresses. They're just like basically celebrities just acting basically.
Wow.
I gotta admit, Ocean's 11, the George Clooney and Brad Pitt version's way better, but it's interesting just to see in its history and how different filmmaking has gone and how much better dialogue has been too. The dialogue in that movie, the old one, woof, big woof, holy moly on a Krakatoli, that is bad. It is not good. So yeah, okay. I can talk about some of the stuff that I've watched.
Yes,
I wrote them down too. Nice. Hold on a second. All right. So the first movie that I watched is an independent film that was made in 2016. Wait, hold on. Where did my... Oh, hold on. Whoops. There we go. So I watched this film that was made in 2016. It's a horror film. So I don't recommend it for those who are not into creature features and shit like that. But here is the interesting part. The film's called The Void. And it's made by two filmmakers who I am not remembering their name right now. But these are two independent filmmakers that were so hands-on to the point where they did the production design. Like one of them did production design. One of them did like special effect or VFX. And
is it Jeremy Gillespie?
Yes.
And Stephen Costello.
Yes. And Jeremy Gillespie was a production designer on that film, and it looks insane. And let me tell you something. I think it's made for $500,000. I could be wrong. I read somewhere it was made for $500,000, which is insane because Christine, like, it's a horror film with so much VFX that like you can get away by saying like, oh, look, CGI, and it's not. Right. It's 100% not CGI. It is all prosthetics. It is all practical. Like the monsters look fucking terrifying, and it's awesome because it reminds me of like The Thing, which is like a John Carpenter like horror film, and it is mind blowing to see that like a film like this even existed, and I had no idea it even like back in 2016. I would have lost my goddamn mind if I saw this movie. Yeah. And I still have, even not watching it now. It's a phenomenal film. So highly recommend it for anybody who's into horror. And
is
anybody
it super scary?
I want to say it's super scary. It deals with a cult who basically like turns people into monsters. That's a loose synopsis of it, without giving anything away. So yeah. I highly recommend it for those who want to see like a DIY project, sort of like in the vein of how Christine is done. These guys have made the production design. They did the VFX. One of them did the music, I think, which is insane. So yeah, it's a very hands-on project, super well done, and probably one of the best horror films I've seen in the last 5 years, easily.
Okay. The Void, everybody. The Void.
The Void.
Yeah. So.
And who fucking knew? You know what I mean? That would be like super fucking rad. Okay. Another one that I watched is it's kind of a it's kind of a famous, but not. I don't know if it even won Oscars. I don't think so.
Okay.
But it's a film by Greta Gerwig, who is directing the Barbie film. She directed an amazing coming of age film that I think is the best since like John Hughes films, and this is Lady Bird. This film,
I've seen that.
You have?
Yeah.
You don't look enthused by it.
No, it was fantastic.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I never seen this film, and it brought me to fucking tears.
Yeah.
It brought me to tears. I love this film so much because
was that considered an independent film?
Totally. What do you mean? It's
I didn't know
not?
that. I thought it was like a studio film. It's not?
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, then never mind.
No
Scratch that.
I mean,
then forget what I literally said. Yeah. No, I enjoyed the film. Yeah, I enjoyed the film. So yeah, we can move on from that then. I just loved it.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out whether or not it was the budget was $10 million. I'm just trying to figure out if this is considered.
I thought it was way less. Okay, well then, never mind. I thought it was way less. I thought it was like less than like 2 million. I read. That's weird.
No,
Whatever.
Is 10 million.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
not to like this. Like that's awesome.
No, I'm never trusting the internet ever again. Yeah, no, it's a great movie. I definitely recommend it for those who like the coming of age, like high school films. And the last like coming of age high school film that I can think of that was like amazing is like something like 16 Candles, you know, or yeah, just like any of those kind of movies. Pretty in Pink,
no,
you know,
great
yeah.
film.
Lady Bird is just like exactly like the movie that is like that, but set in its time. And I definitely think that Greta Gerwig is like the new John Hughes, because she's rad. She's super awesome, and I can't wait for Barbie. You know, get nice big old plug for Barbie, like as if they need our advertising.
More plugs.
Yeah.
Can't wait for it.
Listen. I'm gonna watch it myself. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go to the theater.
Are you gonna do the Oppenheimer, Barbenheimer, where you go?
I'm doing the Barbenheimer for sure. 100%.
Barbenheimer. I saw apparently there's people were making schedules, and apparently the way you do it is you go to brunch and then you go watch, you go watch Oppenheimer, then you go to have brunch, and then you go into Barbie, and then you go and party afterwards. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the schedule.
Because that's a heavy. I don't know. That's a heavy movie to watch Oppenheimer and then go to brunch. That feels like that deals with like bombs and shit. I'm just like, I mean, I probably want to like be alone for a little bit to just like let it sink in. Speaking of bombs, though, the next independent film that I want to shout out that I know is an independent film.
Okay.
Is a little film called How to Blow Up a Pipeline.
Oh.
You never heard of this? It's his name is David Goldhaber or something Goldhaber. So this film is, without getting too much into it, and I know we don't really want to get into politics really that much. It's a very, very, I mean, just by the title alone is a politically charged film.
Yeah.
And it is set present day, and it is about these, you would call, one might say activists, some might say extremists, who decide to blow up a Texas pipeline. And because it is.
How did you find out about this film?
I found out about this film from a podcast I listened to that I love so much, and this podcast from Texas as well, called "There Are Too Many Movies," and these guys watched this film, and I had no idea what it was about. Like, I was like, wait, what? Hold on, what? And I had to pause it and watch the film. And I had like, I think it was still in theaters, and I had to spend like $10 to rent it, which is insane. I never done that before, but I was like, I have a good feeling about this film, oh my God, it's film of the year. It's film of the year. It's one of the best that I've seen this year. Okay. It feels one part action, one part activism or extremist, depending on your perspective. And it is, I never been more invested in these characters that you only learn about for an hour and like 10 minutes. Or hour and 20 minutes, I think the runtime is. And you know so much about these characters. And it's so well written. It's mind-blowing. It's like a writing course 101 for people who want to write these amazing, engaging characters that you feel you know a lot about, but you only got like that short amount of time. And I gotta appreciate a film that goes to the 90 minute mark. You know what I mean? Totally. You get in, you get out, and it does not feel like an hour and a half at all. It feels like not even an hour. It's so engaging and gripping from like the first 5 minutes. It's fucking awesome. It's so good.
Yay, I'm excited. Yeah.
And if you like heist films, I don't know if anybody likes heist films. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that for sure. And I think you would really, really, really enjoy it. So yeah, highly recommend. Nice. And let me know what y'all think. Definitely excited about what y'all might think of that film. Because it is politically charged. So I think that's kind of part of the reason why the marketing is kind of left to be desired. For a film like that, because it's not going to cater to every single audience, unfortunately, you know, to people who just, don't really care about environmental change and climate change, which is 100% affecting like us today. But again, we're not here to talk politics, but again, the narrative of the film is still engaging nonetheless. So, yeah, I mean that's it. That's it for me, Christine. We've been over an hour now. So if you want to end this, we can, or we want to talk about news, we can. We could just end it here if you want.
Yeah, I'm good with that. We'll
take
it in for
and we got another fucking stupid timer too from good old Zoom. I hate this fucking thing. It's so dumb. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. If you forgot, well, we're going to remind you right now, the getreelisms.com website gives you all the goodies in books in have you all released the hats yet? Or the hats?
I need to do it.
Well, this is coming soon. To a Get Reelism store near you. Yeah, we're gonna get the hats. We got the books and the posters, T-shirts, you name it, folks.
Don't forget to also check out other independent films such as Ursley.
Yeah. And Ursley's always in the link in the description. So if you ever wonder, like, what they talk about Ursley all the time, there's a link. You got to scroll up, and then boom, there's a link. You go to the page, you rent it, you buy it, you cherish it, you share it with all your friends, and tell
people about it.
Tell people about it. That's been it for me. And thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. Yes.
Thank you, Instagram, and thank you, Facebook. We love you.